Hi friends, thank you so much for tuning in to Shelby Artist YouTube channel today. It is great to have you here and I hope you're doing well. It is a beautiful day in the neighborhood today and this video is about my reading from this book today, Marianne Williamson's The Healing of America. Do you think America should heal? The title of this section on page 128 is If Love Came First, which is what I will title this video at 43-second intro right now. Marianne Williamson writes, if love came first, we would use our financial resources to create jobs instead of building more prisons to punish people when they do not live rightly. If love came first, we would value human rights at least as much as economic rights. If love came first, we would seek to educate and help rather than to prosecute our children violently who are screaming out for attention. The interests of the people are often secondary to the interests of major political corporations and contributors, donors. She definitely talks about the patriarchal mindset. Let me see. I'll just go on. It's a sociological truism that any old guard system sees the coming order as unrealistic. It is true that the political order and power now sees too much love talk as rather silly. But I have watched them as they make their decisions, and I've heard them as they talk about their plans. The guys in suits who run the world are as emotionally vulnerable in their own way as anyone else. They just as easily could consider the world from an expansive, open-hearted consciousness, but they do not do it for three basic reasons. First, most of them actually do not know how. They have been trained to think along authoritarian, patriarchal thought patterns, and that's the box that they're stuck in. Second, they fear mockery by the mainstream press and cultural gatekeepers if they were to appear too soft. We're particularly enamored of militaristic imagery these days, one of the sure signs, by the way, of a crumbling democracy. Got a problem? Hell, just bring in a general. Talk in militaristic terms. It'll make people feel secure. Surely, if he can fight a war, we must master and conquer any war within ourselves before you can be in a position to master and conquer any war outside yourself. It is a prerequisite. This is why I'm telling my own commentary here. People who project and try to look, conquering and macho and ownership and powerful and control in some way externally to show the whole world how powerful they are in this sense is exactly what they're doing is they're projecting. They cannot do it inside. Okay. And of course, I'm not speaking in blanket terms ever. Okay. I'm not speaking for all, but mostly when I see this happen, it's a projection. Of course, there can very well be a good quality of a person who has already mastered the inner wars themselves, and therefore they are in a very qualified position to help and to do these things on an external level. But they will not make it about them. They will not be self-centered. Okay. Third, they seem to think the public isn't looking, isn't thinking, and doesn't deeply care anymore about social justice. You suggest that maybe they could remind the people of such an important thing, you know, lead. And they look at you with empty eyes. Marianne Williamson, you got the right idea, sister. For a leader to see someone underneath the totem pole giving them sincere advice, helpful advice, they just can't compute. Their ego just won't allow them to be humble enough to take the advice and implement and use the advice, because because they're beneath them, because they're a barnacle. How can a barnacle give an elite witch suggestions and advice and common sense and logical reasonings? Barnacles can't do that, right?